So, dude, I mean, it's weird that, you work for a mezcal company and you're just telling me that you want to build the wall. We're live. We're live. That's shit. I didn't say that. So welcome to The Worst with Chad Austin. Today I have with me Mr. Ryan Flemming, Mr. RJF. Your initials put together, you either sound like you were like a serial killer in the 70s, or you're going to be our next president. And looking at you, I'm going to go with, the former.
My nickname turned into Flaming because I get blue flames across my stomach when I was 15 because I thought that was going to be a good idea. And then later that turned into the gayest flame. Thank you, Sean Schumacher, for that name. Shout out to you for the rest of my life being known as the gayest flame.
So, okay, I thought you were just like Blue Flames turned out to be the gayest flames. I was like, wait, when did Blue Flame become?
No, the joke is they're the hottest flames, actually.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
And, okay, so... and then also like a little bit of the red hair action. So I'm guessing carpet drapes match. So it's just like fire crotch.
The fire crotch is so hot it has blue flames.
It has blue flames, dude. It's just like it can't be tamed. You can't handle this shit. But Ryan's here with me, and purposefully gave him a green lighting backdrop so we can call him a fucking leprechaun this entire time.
Wonderful.
But he doesn't drink Jameson. He drinks mezcal and beers, and we party and we have fun. And I don't know, man, if there's anything you want to say to introduce yourself, so I'm just not talking.
Been in the bar industry for a while. Worked with the Houstons for almost a fucking decade. I worked for a few brands. I sold shitty whiskey in a can. A lot of you guys remember me when I sold Stillhouse.
Oh, God.
But now I work with Madre Mezcal. Absolutely love the juice, love the product, the company. We do what we can to give back, so it's kind of rad to work for someone I'm like, I actually give a fuck now.
Okay, so, I mean, we've talked about this numerous times via text, but I hate brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
And I would say that how I originally met you was through you selling Stillhouse.
I sold you coconut whiskey.
And that is the thing, is I can tell that I like somebody more than their brand when I buy garbage from them. And it also makes you a good brand ambassador, because if you could walk in and just have the charisma and actually feel like a real person and not just a sales robot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well, big stupid bar. I could buy some coconut whiskey and like throw it into the mix. Like I could buy like 3 tins of coconut whiskey and throw it into the mix for something and run it on a special and just help this fucking guy out.
Well, yeah, dude, being on both sides, like I had some, like the bar I work at now, the guy that came in and sold us Armenian brandy, like, dude, this dude was just like, you can do this. Like, and then he was like, have you ever had an old fashioned before? I was like, no, dude, blow my mind. He goes, use this walnut syrup. And I was like, oh my God, you're the first person ever. You just blew my fucking mind, dude.
It's like, wait. Why is this called an old fashioned? What is this drink? Please tell me. You do what with whiskey? You do what with brandy?
Oh my God,
I don't understand this.
Dude.
Dude.
He's like, I'm part of the International Bartender Association. I'm like,
no
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Dude, you got IBS?
Oh.
Dude, that's fucking stupid. I mean, I remember like I say like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I was first like making the move from just being like a steakhouse bartender and like a dive bar bartender to trying to be like a craft bartender for the first time, especially in like the Palm Springs area where, I mean, there was nothing. It was just like, you're using fresh juice? That's fucking unheard of. You must really know what you're doing. And I was like, no, I don't. But like, I remember like getting like like the letter from the USBG. It's like, sign up today. And I was like, I want to be part of something. And then I paid the fucking $100 one time. And I was like, why the fuck did I do that?
Yeah, it's funny because like I go out to Vegas to do sales stuff, and like their chapter, like hundreds of people show up. And the LA chapter, it's like 8 brand ambassadors and 2 bartenders that just found out about the USBG.
Exactly. I was at one. So like when I first signed up, it was like, we have this must have been not like 8 or 9 years ago. Like the USBG thing must have been like probably 5 or 6. But I went to a meeting at Melrose, and it was seriously that. It was like me, one other dude, and then like a couple brand ambassadors, few people that were just there already because they were getting their morning coffee and whatnot, and then decided to hang around. And then, somebody doing, I'm going to make my own bitters class. And I was just like, this is fucking awesome. But then I just realized, why the fuck does anybody make their own bitters?
Oh, dude, I did that. When I first started, I was like, oh, you can make your own bitters. And I was like buying overproof like white dog whiskeys. And I thought I was so cool. And then I was just like, this is the dumbest shit ever. Like, even now, like, if you don't have staff to make syrups and shit, like, fuck that. Like, who wants to go in 3 days a week to fucking make syrups?
Dude,
I don't. If you don't have a kitchen staff to help, that shit sucks.
I'll tell you what, like right now at the place that I'm working, not only is it just one of those things where it's like, it's rough to make sure that I have like the list of everything you have to make, and it's rough to make sure that everybody on the staff is doing it on their downtime. But also we have a like just overcapacity kitchen where it's just like everybody's running on all cylinders at all times because it's such a busy restaurant that if you needed to actually get in the kitchen to make something, fucking forget about it. So I was just like, now I'm just, okay, let me just look up a few syrups. This one tastes okay. I'm just going to go with that. I don't fucking care anymore.
I basically just use Randy's stuff, liquid alchemist.
That's what I do too.
Yeah. Or perfect puree, and I just add water and sugar to thin it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm rocking for. I spiced up the mango a little bit. I do the perfect puree,
crafty,
and
you're a true mixologist.
Dude, I just took I was like, what can I do? And I just like dumped the perfect puree, and then I added like 10 ounces of falernum. I'm like, it's a cordial.
Dude, what's the word they instead of mixologist? People are liquid chef. I fucking hate that.
Bar chef.
Bar chef. Liquid chef
dude,
or bar chef.
Don't get me fucking started on that. I can't stand that, dude. You are nothing like a chef.
No.
You have no fucking
air fryer,
skills.
and I just throw everything in an air fryer, salt it, and go, dude, Gordon Ramsay over here.
But seriously, like it's criminal for a bartender to even try to match themselves with a chef. Like, you were taught by some drunk asshole how to make drinks, and you might have taken it a little further and read a book or two, but in no way.
Dude,
how dare you?
I was at a bar in Orange County once, and like it said farm to table on their bar menu.
Fuck you, dude.
And they're like, we actually grow our own mint out back. And I'm like, who cares? It grows wild everywhere.
Yeah, and you know how fucking easy mint mint. I had some at my house, and that shit took over my whole backyard.
Yeah.
Like, it grows like fucking that. You're not fucking Dr. Green Thumb because you grow mint, dude. Jesus Christ. And no, and there's like all these, like, I've seen it, like there's like hotels and stuff like, well, our top floor is all a herb garden for our bar and kitchen, and it's like, okay, cool.
For sure, they're still buying that shit.
Exactly. It's just like,
you go through fucking pounds of mint. Because fucking everyone loves mojitos.
Especially if I'm garnishing a drink. That's like a fucking, there's a whole living plant on top of a drink if I'm putting mint on it.
Yeah.
That shit's so cheap. And I will buy it constantly. I mean, it's insane, like the level of like douchery. And I'll admit, I was a part of it. Karen Girl just sent me a picture of, I guess I was just recently in LA Mag. But they used a picture of me from like 6 years ago where I'm bartending at a tiki bar wearing a fucking shirt, tie, and leather apron. And I'm like,
oh, the apron. That kills me. Can we just get rid of aprons behind the bar? Like, you're not a chemist.
I just
looked
at the photo and I was like, fuck, man. I was like, that's really still in circulation. And you could tell it's old too because I'm pouring a bottle of tequila cabeza, and it's just like, I was like, fuck, dude, I can't believe this is still around. And plus, I had more hair at the time, and I actually, didn't wear hats all the time because I'm balding. But, dude, I mean, it's a struggle. Just fat, balding, toothless, like.
Nice.
I have to really just make sure the personality is on point.
Well, you're married. You got that.
Well, that's the thing too. It's just like I could just completely let it all slide away because like no one's trying to catch this, and I'm not trying to catch anything from anybody. So
I mean, I love my lady, but showering's not. It's not like I wake up some days and just go, do I have to shower today? Maybe it's anytime I go on motorcycle camping trips, it's just like, cool. Like, I don't have to worry about showering for the next few days.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep in a bag.
And I also only use natural deodorant, so I smell.
Dude, the natural deodorants, my wife tried to get me into that, and I was like, nah, dude, give me the one with like the metallic shit in it and like that's harmful to my body, could cause cancer. Like, I would rather just make sure that like when I go like this, it's
if it gives you chest cancer, you can get a mastectomy.
Oh, dude.
That'll solve your whole...
I mean, seriously, my biggest problem with being fat is that I have gigantic tits. And like, I mean, that's my like.
Dude, get a double mastectomy.
I mean,
Solve
seriously,
it right now.
like, so I need. If anybody can give me any type of tips on how to get breast cancer, I also would like to be able to call myself a survivor. I mean, that would be fantastic, dude. Hook a brother up.
Oh, dude, that's a word I hate because in the motorcycle world, like everyone, you'll sell a bike and someone will be like, it's a survivor. Which just means like some tweaker built it in the 70s and let it rot in the backyard and you found it and you're like, it's a survivor. And like, it wasn't good when it was built then. It's probably not good now.
Just because it turns over doesn't mean that it's ready for the road, dude. Oh, man. So like, I know that. And it boggles my mind. I know you have a couple bikes and you just had a van too. And it's just like, dude,
rest in peace, van. I sold that thing.
You selling drugs on the side? Because where do you get all the money for these projects?
I hustle, man. I work too many jobs and I'm constantly trying to flip stuff. And my dad's a famous mechanic and drag racer. He's 72 and still drag racing. My dad's a badass.
Dude.
Like you could actually, if you look up Older and Faster on Vimeo, it's a documentary about my dad and the whole Volkswagen scene from the 60s.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
So I grew up in an auto shop, so I have that. But living in LA, parking's a bitch. So that's why I actually sold my last Econoline, was every week I just had to move it. And I worked too much, so I never worked on it.
Yeah.
But I got 3 bikes right now. I got a 79 shovel, a 92 FXR, and a 96 Sporty Chop.
Which one breaks down the most?
It's more which one I break the most.
Yeah,
I've blown the motor on the Sportster like 5 times because I think I'm like Evil Knievel on that thing. Last time I blew it up, I like went to Kern on a whim. Like my friends were like, hey, I only knew one guy. And they're like, do you want to come on a trip? And I was like, absolutely. And just like called off sick to work for a few days. And I ended up going and fucking blew up the motor in the middle of fucking nowhere, like in the fucking desert before you get to Kern. And the guys I were with were like, I was like, the motor's blown. They're like, okay, so you can't fix it? I was like, no. They just left. And I just sat on the side of the road, no cell service, just sat there and underneath the fucking Joshua tree, just like praying. And finally some dudes picked me up and they were super cool. And they're like, hey, if you want, like we're staying on Lake Isabella. They all had fucking jet boats from the 70s.
What?
And I got to party with these guys. They're all like they're all with the army base like right around the corner. And I actually made friends with them and spent the whole weekend partying with them. They fed me fucking ribs and fucking just got me drunk on Coors Light. And I fucking hate Coors Light.
But hey, it was there.
But hey, and they fucking put me in a jet boat. That shit's so much scarier than a fucking motorcycle. You're going like fucking 70, just skipping along the lake.
You're just skimming the water.
Just skimming. And like I was like, what's this like handle in front? He goes, you should probably hold on to that. And it like hit his fucking supercharger. Like it finally hit. And I cracked my fucking head on the fucking oh shit bar.
Okay, dude. So actually, when we started bringing up motorcycles, it reminded me that I asked on Instagram, and I did this kind of late, so we only have a couple, but I asked on Instagram for any viewer questions. We got 2.
Oh, nice.
First one is from Don't Look Back, Zach. Which the name to me sounds like a dude that's getting pegged and it's like a mantra in his head, like it feels good, but don't look back. You're going to hate it. So Don't Look Back, Zach asked, how much preparation do you go through when riding your bike? And do you apply it with a barbecue baster or a paper straw?
I actually have been pretty fucking lucky and never had to worry about that. My constant thing is my fucking knees and hips are fucked up from skateboarding forever. And so you'll see me riding. All of a sudden I stand up and do like this weird wiggle because I'm trying to get my hip to pop like back so it's not fucking killing me. Or you'll see me just like constantly flexing my fucking knees.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like this asshole's pretty tight, dude. It's treated me well. So
that's good.
It's
you know, it's nice to know that my desk has a tight asshole.
Last podcast, I've never had to deal with that hemorrhoid issue. So,
dude, I mean, and if anybody,
shout out to not pushing.
Yeah, dude, don't put. So yeah, let's just have a little callback to last week's show with not last week, the week before, but with my buddy David Wright, we did a whole 15-minute segment on hemorrhoids, and I mean, basically the PSA for that is don't push. Just wait till you actually have to take a shit and go. The next one is from Diana, who I'm not going to say her Instagram name because it's too fucking long. It's too fucking long, Diana. You know her though. She said, how many lives do you have and how many times have you been close to death?
Ooh, I have friends that won't even ride with me.
Really?
Like, they're like, okay, what bike are you riding? Because, like, if I get on my FXR, like, I get it. I've been riding since I was a kid, and I love, like, riding by and, like, scraping the semi, like, on the side. So I have one hand, like, just, like, I'm that guy that, like, will walk away and, like, knock on the windows of, like, the fucking public transportation. So I actually have only had a few motorcycle accidents. I'm missing a couple fingertips, but besides that, I've been pretty damn lucky.
Just the tips.
Just the tips.
All right.
I got 8 out of 10.
Hey, no, that's not bad.
Yeah, and they put
How
one
long
back
you been
on.
riding?
Since I was 13.
Yeah, dude. 8 out of 10
Yeah.
for that many years?
Yeah.
You're doing fine.
I've had a couple concussions. I got ran over once in Hollywood.
That's cool.
I was on my way to work at Good Times on my Enduro, and someone ran in front of me and literally ran over my bike, and I bailed, and he missed me. And I picked up the bike and went to work with a major concussion. And, like, they're like, you should probably go to the hospital. I was like, I should probably just have a shot of whiskey.
Yeah, just give me a shot.
And they basically forced me in an Uber to go home. And, like, we're taking alcohol out of my hand.
They're like, no, dipshit, you're good. You need to go seek medical attention.
I'm one of those people, when I get hurt, I'm just like, well, this is it. This is the end. So I may as well just start drinking because I'm not going to die sober.
Well, that, and it's just like, really, though, what the fuck is a doctor going to do for me? What do they ever do for anybody? They just tell you what you already knew was wrong with you and then send you home and be like, hey, don't let him fall asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew that. And
that's the worst. Like, hey, I just hit my head. It hurts really bad. Guess what? Oh, you're going to have to stay awake all night. Fuck that.
that hurts a
stay
lot.
Awake sober.
That hurts a lot. Well, guess what? You're going to be thinking about it for at least the next 12 hours.
Fuck that.
Dude. So on, I mean, you know the show, you've listened, and I appreciate that. But, you know, we have a few different segments that we roll through. I want to get into the worst news network. Because I have a couple really great ones that we can talk about.
Okay, good.
The first one is, and this is something that I was just scrolling through Instagram the other day, and one of the targeted ads got me. And I don't even know why this was a targeted ad for me. Obviously, this shit
says a lot about you. I don't know what you're about to say.
Okay,
but...
obviously this shit doesn't work very well because I got targeted a Tom Ford ad. And I was just like, cool, dude, I've never spent that much money on anything in my life, but let's see what you're selling. Tom Ford has a new watch that's called Ocean Plastic. He is literally selling trash to rich people. In the ad, it's a plastic watch, nothing's fancy. It's a black watch, fully plastic,
recycled ocean plastic,
and it's made from gathered recycled ocean plastic.
How much does it cost?
I didn't fully look it up, but somebody in the comments wrote that it was $1,000.
Really?
And that doesn't make sense to me. I'm thinking it's probably cheaper than that, but even with Tom Ford's name on it, it's probably at least over $200. And I mean, you were like,
the ironic thing is it's probably going to end up back in the ocean one day. It's just going to be ocean plastic trash watch.
Well, that, and like also, I mean, I've spoken on this before, but we got rid of plastic straws for no fucking reason. No one, I mean, yes, you see a video on YouTube and then you have a heart for a second, but really the inconvenience of having a soggy straw in your drink is not worth a turtle's life. I feel so strongly about this. I would rather have plastic straws because also you can't do cocaine with paper straws. It doesn't work. I think the turtles appreciate that too, but it's just
it's all about the tried and true thumb method.
I mean, yeah, I mean you can straight up be a knuckle duster and a thumb guy, and that's fine with me too. But sometimes you just want a line that's the size of this table. Sometimes you want to test and see if your heart's gonna stop or not, and you could just go nose to table, but it.
Like farm to table.
Yeah, exactly. Like farm to table with all of our bartender friends. But yeah, I mean, I saw that and I just started laughing and I thought it was so ridiculous. And I was just waiting for all of like the rich assholes to buy into it and just hear that it's sold out. And these people are wearing a watch that just says Ocean Plastic on it. Cause it says it on there.
People will buy it, take a picture, put it on Instagram with their wrist, and then it'll never see the light of day.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a total just straight up like virtue signal.
Yeah.
It's just like, look, I'm saving the environment by buying this sick watch.
It's not only about being a good person, it's about telling other people you're a good person.
Oh, dude, speaking of telling other people you're a good person, right outside my bar, there is this dude that just lives in a tent, and he lives right on the street corner. And he's been there for a long time, since way before I started working there. And I mean, he doesn't really bother anybody. He comes and asks me for ice occasionally, which is cool. Always give him like a big sheet of ice.
Yeah.
And occasionally at night he gets a little unwound, and he's runs up and down the street screaming curse words in English/Israeli. And he freaks out some couple people that sit on the patio, but he's harmless.
Yeah.
And so the other day I'm walking out of work, and there's this fucking stacked ass Escalade parked in, because we all park in the alley behind the bar, and it's blocking my exit. And I kind of look over to see what the hell's going on, and it was like 3 people, one person with a video camera out, the other person's just still sitting in the car, and then the third person is gifting the homeless dude something, but they're doing it to put it on Instagram or some type of social media, because it's a production. The dude sitting there with the headlights on to give them better lighting. The one girl is out there filming. The other one is like handing shit, but also like playing to the camera.
Yeah.
I was just like, are you fucking kidding? Like, you can't just go give this fucking guy something. You can't just I've never ever once told people that I've given the homeless something. And that might be because I fucking hate the homeless and I wish they would all die. But
I literally just bought some dude Del Taco on my motorcycle ride home from Palm Springs.
No, I'm kidding. I don't mind the homeless. It's just fun to make fun of them because they'll never hear it.
I always like these. You see them like with phones and headphones.
Dude, that shit's wild. Actually, there was this a trans woman that used to live outside of Lono, and I used to talk to her because she had the fucking best signs ever. It was always something about an alien abduction and this, that, and the other. She was very creative. Yeah. She went above and beyond, and most of the time she was just asking for weed. She never asked people for money. She was just like, if you can spare a joint or a nug so I can roll the joint, I'm happy. And I talked to her one day, and I found out that her name is Tall Can. And
I love her.
I loved her even more after that. So every day on my way into work, I'd walk out of the parking structure, and she'd be there, just chilling in her, and she'd be sitting there on her phone, just doing whatever. And I'd be like, "What's up, Tall Can?" She'd always just call me Tattooed Man.
Nice.
She's like, "Hey, Tattooed Man, how you doing?" I was like, "Oh, just hanging out." And she's like, "You got any weed today?" I was like, we've gone over this every single day, but I never have weed on me. But, we'll keep on doing it.
Anytime I see a homeless dude and they have a sign that says anything about weed or grass, I am the first person to pull out, and I will roll them a joint for them.
That's awesome. I really just hardly ever smoke weed, so I don't have it on me. I always have
weed on me. Edibles. I'm a huge fan of marijuana.
I have mushrooms and edibles in my backpack right now.
Nice.
But that was a gift from another podcast guest from like 2 months ago, and they've never left my backpack.
That's good just to have it with you.
You never know.
You pulled over
in case of emergency.
Yeah. Hey, I know you're going to give me a ticket. Have you ever had some mushrooms?
Just like, you want a piece of chocolate? Huh? Okay, so the next one after Tom's Ford's Trash Watch. So this one's wild. I saw this. This one was sent to me by a friend of mine, and he found it on Etsy. Now, there are people that have knitted tiny penises. So crocheted dicks that are meant for your small child if you think that they're going to be trans.
What?
Yes, I kid
Dude,
you.
this shit blows my mind. I don't care what you want to be or who you like. Freedom for everything. Like, leave me alone. Let me be whatever I want to be. Same to you. But people like, I'm gonna let my kid choose who they like their gender. I'm like, no, your kid was born a boy or born a girl until they decide otherwise. Like, don't be like, well, what if they want to be? I was like, a 5-year-old doesn't know. A 5-year-old just wants SpaghettiOs.
Dude, a 5-year-old wants to. Just because your 5-year-old decided to pick up the fucking Barbie instead of the Hot Wheels, it doesn't mean anything
Dude, hot
yet.
pink was my favorite color.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything yet.
No.
Let them, they need to develop. Their brain needs to develop to decide where they are in life and what they, and how they feel. And sure, you can start gauging it for yourself when they're young. Be like, I had many friends when I was a kid who talked very effeminate, and we were just like, he's going to be gay. Yeah. But you never said anything. You just let him figure it out for himself.
Oh, our buddy growing up his name was Gay Paul. And he's like, I'm not gay.
Yeah.
And now he's the gayest dude in the world once he finally felt comfortable.
Yeah, but you have to let people come to these things.
Let him play baseball and take a fucking ballet class.
So
do whatever you want.
Exactly. So the wildest thing is that these crocheted penises are, they're meant for an infant. Because it's like tie on like diaper way of doing it, and you put it on under the diaper. So it's just like you are batshit crazy, and you are just begging for your child to be in therapy because how did you wanted
your kid to be woke?
Yeah, how did your child come out of the womb and you just automatically, you know what? It was meant to be a girl. Yeah. Or it was meant to be a boy.
Well, it's like that couple that raised their kid to be vegan. The kid fucking died. Like,
yeah. Well, there was also I can't remember her name. It's like Emily Watchabakabits or something like that. She's like an Instagram influencer or whatever. No one asked her, no one cares, but she got pregnant, and the first thing she posted on her Instagram was, "We are going to let our child just decide its gender whenever it feels appropriate. So please don't ask me if it's a boy or a girl." It's like, dude. You're just being this is just overly
science
absurd.
Still exists. Can we just go back to science is real?
And it's just like, I'm sure we'll get shit for this because we're just two white guys talking about shit.
And we have tattoos.
And and Brian, he really just hates Armenia. No. But to me, and I've said this before, I've done this on 100 different podcasts with my buddy Shylight, where we mostly talk about politics and deep issues, where it's just like, be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
I grew up, my mom has been a makeup artist for fucking 30 years. I grew up surrounded by gay dudes. Never once did anything or, just ever bother. It was just like, that's mom's friend Mike.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But to tell a small child, to tell an infant who doesn't even understand what you're saying, first off, but then present it with like, this is your crocheted dick. That shit is just that is a level of extreme wokeness that like I'll never be able to get behind. And if that's where society's going, we're fucking doomed.
Yeah. Life's getting too easy. People have to make problems.
No, absolutely. Like, there definitely has to be like problems made sometimes. It's not just that. It's like you also, there's people, they have too much time on their hands. Government's giving you a good chunk of change and you're sitting at home and it's just like, what can I do to fill my time now? I don't have a job to go to anymore. I'm living off of this until it goes away.
I'm so happy I fucking have hobbies.
Dude, I mean, I'm honestly happy I have a job because I think that like if I was still just sitting on the couch hanging out with my family, which I love, don't get me wrong, drive me fucking crazy, but I mean my tits would not be a C anymore, they'd be like a triple E. Like I would just be like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Everyone's like, you got to stay at home, you got to stay like away from people. I'm like, cool, I'm going to the mountains. During COVID, I went camping and rode my motorcycle everywhere. And nothing was open, and it was fucking fantastic. People were like, I can't believe you're going out in public. I was like, out in public? I was like, I'm hanging out with squirrels.
Yeah, I'm riding a fucking motorcycle, which is something that you do solo.
Dude, out in Arizona, we were on a ride, and there was some, like, you don't have helmet laws out there. And some dude was riding, no helmet, but with a mask. And the irony in my head, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I have no problem putting on a mask, walking into a business. Like, I get it, like private, like, whatever. But this dude, I'm like, so you're not worried about like cracking your head open on the concrete like a little tomato, but you're worried about like, you're going to wear a mask?
Yeah. I mean, it just like there was a lot of shit that happened during this that just bothered the fuck out of me. And one of them was like, masking outdoors is one thing, but now we're gonna step it up, and you should wear 2 masks outdoors. And even if you're hiking on a trail alone out in the middle of the fucking hills, 2 masks at all times. It's just like, dog, let's just be reasonable here.
Yeah.
Like I understand it, and I will follow. I followed all the mandates, and I never once got COVID, so I was very careful. I did my thing, but also I had to draw a line where it was just like, now you're just being fucking retarded.
Yeah. I had to go to Vegas for work and fucking got it.
Yeah.
And I came back and like, how do you feel? And I was like, well, not very good.
It's just like, can't taste anything, but
Yeah.
all right. So that was the knitted penises for trans babies.
Glad we got there.
Okay, so this one's fun. A woman forced a Dogecoin millionaire to come inside her at gunpoint.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So
One more time.
a woman forced a Dogecoin millionaire to come inside her at gunpoint. So she, I'm guessing, thought, hey, this guy's loaded. He's making tons of money off crypto. Comes inside me and I have a child. I'm going to benefit off of this. So she invited him in to fuck or whatever wherever they were, pulled him home from the bar, whatever it was. And
how great was it if he had a vasectomy?
Yeah, right. I mean, that would have been so amazing. But so she pulled a gun on him mid pho and told him that he had to come inside her.
I just don't think the gun was necessary.
But also, in my opinion, you pull a gun on me, I think not only am I gonna come inside you, but I'm gonna come right then. That shit is hot. like,
dude, what if
that
you get
little
a
air of
fetish
danger
after this? You
that
can
weird
only come if you have a gun pulled on you.
And every time it has to be a bigger gun.
Fucking rocket launcher.
Yeah, it's just like, no, you can't pull the fucking 22. You can't pull the 22. I'm gonna keep going.
Just fucking a full-on fucking dynamite belt, like. It's a ticking time bomb.
It just has like a kimono on, and then she gets on top and she's riding you, and she just, and you just see. It's just like, oh, well, that's where we're going today.
Dude, Speed would have been such a better movie if that's the route they would have went down.
You can't come until 50 strokes. No, but I just thought that was an amazing story, and I seriously, like, in my head, just thought, I think that I would. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that would turn me on. Some crazy. I have also always liked crazy ass women, but but yeah, some crazy ass girl pulling a gun on me in the middle of fucking. I mean, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, crypto dude, but like, if you took that shit like a bitch, if you went and told the newspapers about it afterwards, I would have just gotten her number. Okay, this one, there was really not much to discuss. I just thought it was funny. Some dude showed up at Zoom court, and you know how in Zoom you have your name down at the bottom? Yeah. He had his name as Buttfucker 3000.
Nice. I didn't know Zoom court was a thing.
No, yeah, I guess, like, they really don't want you, showing up to actual court.
I'm not showing up to my Zoom court. I'm more likely to show up to real court than I would be Zoom court.
Oh, absolutely.
And has anyone got caught, like, jerking off on Zoom court?
No, but... there's been a few incidents, but never in court yet. We've had the one guy in court who had his cat filter on. You remember that one? That one was good. And then, the reporter who was jacking off, because he thought he had closed out the window or some shit. That was hilarious too. But shout out to Buttfucker 3000. Yeah. Basically, the judge just.
Do you think he loves Power Trip 3000? Do you think that's where he got the name from?
I was hoping that it was Andre 3000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm also a big Outkast fan. I was just like, yeah. But, the judge wasn't playing it. He was just like, excuse me, sir, what's your name? He's all, it's Neil something. He's like, yeah, well, that's not what it says. He's like, it doesn't say Neil.
What does it say? I would just be asking the judge.
The judge straight up said it. He's like, don't be coming into my courtroom with any Buttfucker 3000. I was like, you just got the judge to say
Judge
it?
Judy would have ripped him a new asshole.
Oh my god, dude, Judge Judy would have lit him up. Okay, so that's it for the news. Because I only hit hard hitting topics.
It's great. It's like CNN.
What's worse? You could only drink vodka for the rest of your life, or only watch SNL for the rest of your life.
Oh. Dude, I watched the Dave Chappelle one, and even that was still a letdown.
Well, because he doesn't want to be in skits. He's just like, let me do my monologue.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck it. He's like, let these stupid kids do their bullshit. I mean.
Man, do I have to drink the vodka straight?
No, I guess you can mix it. Yeah, just vodka is the only, no beer, no anything else. It's just like, if you want to get drunk, you only have vodka.
Yeah, I'd go with the vodka.
Yeah, I think I would have to.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think if SNL was my only, like, just get off work, trying to relax.
I could screwdriver it up for the rest of my life if I had to.
It's like I can't even watch a YouTube video. I just have to put on reruns of SNL.
But you could watch old SNL.
You could watch old SNL, but, after a while, Like, I mean, how many
times is that same joke going to be funny?
Right? How many times are you going to watch Chris Farley dance for the Chippendales?
Down by the river?
Oh, dude, did you hear about that Chippendales thing?
No.
Okay, so you remember the Chippendales skit, like
Yeah.
super famous, him and Patrick Swayze?
Yeah.
So some asshole wrote like an unauthorized biography of Chris Farley and basically put it in the biography that the Chippendale skit was the reason that Chris Farley had a sudden like downward spiral and killed himself, was because he was being fat shamed on TV. But it was so I read this and I was just like, this is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard, because the whole idea behind the skit was that he was the better dancer and beat Patrick fucking Swayze, who was like the eye candy of the century at that time. Like
that mullet, man.
You know, like that mullet, that fucking body, just being fucking Bodie from Point Break, being fucking nobody puts baby in a corner. Like, I mean, this guy was from the late 80s to the early 90s. This guy was, I mean, it was one of those save some pussy for the rest of us situations, because if Patrick Swayze was around, you were going to get roundhoused by fucking Roadhouse. Like, it was just, it was insane. So, I mean, that's not what fat, like, if a fat person is uncomfortable with doing something about them being fat, they won't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's as simple as that. It's so fucking ridiculous. Okay. So now we're going to get into the worsts.
Okay.
And I have now broken this down into 2 different versions of it. I'm gonna ask you your worsts, but then at the end I'm also gonna find out if you're the worst by asking you questions about your life, and you answer them yes or no, or you tell me a story.
I'm gonna go with the worst.
You know, it happens for most of my friends. Last week was the first time I did this one, and it just so happened to be that the girl I had on was a fucking angel, and she happens to not be one of us.
I didn't hear that one yet. So
yeah, I mean, I just released it today.
Oh.
YouTube. Okay, so worst thing to ever happen to you on a ride.
The worst. Okay, so last EDR I went on, that's 2019.
Will you tell people what EDR is?
Because
not
EDR
a lot
is
of my friends
Diablo Run.
Okay.
It's this big motorcycle ride that Builtwell puts on. It's a motorcycle company, and basically it's 1,000 miles in 3 days. You ride down to like, it started like Ensenada, but now it's just San Felipe. You ride to San Felipe and back, and while you're down there, it's just like, it's the fucking wild, wild west. Like, it's fucking insane. Like I was saying before this started, like there's a longer line for the cocaine dealer than there is for like the tacos, and they ran out of cocaine, and they had to go ship in it from other places to bring more cocaine. And there's like, they have strippers, and they put a stripper pole in the middle of the bar, and like they fly all the girls in from TJ or whatever. Like, it's insane.
Classy.
I overdid it like I usually did. Like, barely slept Friday night, barely slept Saturday, and by Sunday we're like, well, we got to get rid of all the drugs. Like, we got to do all the drugs, or else we're not crossing the border.
As you do.
And I got and another one, we were in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden we hear someone open the door, and we walk in, and I come out, and there's this chick, and she's not speaking English. I don't know if I think it was maybe French. And she thought we were in her house, but she walked into our house. And so she's fucking throwing cups and pans at us, and we're like trying to like help her. And she just thinks that we're trying to rob her or something, or maybe fucking rape her. And like, so I'm like, I got hit with a fucking cup in the head.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to help this person. It's also 3 a.m, and we have to ride home the next day.
Yeah.
Like, when you leave at 6 a.m, so you can get back hopefully before the sun goes down back to Los Angeles. I barely slept. We woke up, and I'm just throwing up out of nowhere, like nonstop. I'm like, hey, we'll get to town. I'll get some fucking electrolytes, Pedialyte, be better. I'm throwing everything up. Like, I'm ripping my helmet off so I don't throw up in my own helmet. And when we're riding, like, I can just smell vomit, like, all over me. And we start riding back, and the winds were terrible. So, like, you're riding at a 45-degree angle just to go straight.
Ugh.
And everyone's, like, kind of having a good time, stopping, getting a beer, and every time we stop, like, I'm just throwing up. I can't eat. I managed to drink half of a Mexican Coke. That's all I had by the time I crossed the border. And I was just dying to the point. As soon as I crossed the border, I was like, I'm going to call AAA. I'm just going to tow me. And then I realized, like, I have to be within 100 miles.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to get a hotel room. And my ex at the time was like, fuck you, don't ever come home if you don't come home tonight. Because I was like in Mexico for days. I was like, well, okay, this is great. And I ended up making it home at like 9 p.m. and it was just fucking brutal. And then the EDR, that was 2017. The EDR did after that. I blew up my motor in the middle of the Salton Sea and had to fucking sit in this like the sun of the Salton Sea for 3 hours.
Was that on your way out there, or on your
way back?
Well, at least it happened on the way back.
Yeah, and that time I was smarter and I wasn't like as hungover and fucked up. But still,
goddamn,
that was
dude.
the worst ride I ever had. Like riding through Mexico, vomiting, feeling like I'm gonna die, and you can't just give up because you're in the middle of nowhere in Mexico.
No. Yeah.
Like I'm like you cross from San Felipe to Ensenada, there's nothing. So yeah, hands down worst ride.
So, but also you just said you just had like quite a fun ride to Palm Springs. You want to talk about that one?
Oh man! Shout out to Joe, the bearded bartender. He just bought a motorcycle 5 weeks ago. We love you, Joe. My buddy Russ and I met them in Redlands to go to Palm Springs. Russell, just like he's like, I need to get back to being myself. Like he was with some chick that kind of like wasn't good for him. And so we went out to party, and I meet them. We're having a good morning. It takes 2 hours to get to Palm Springs.
Yeah.
It took us 6 hours because we had to take side roads because Joe wouldn't get on the fucking freeway. And when we did, he went 50 miles per hour, which is sketchy when semis are passing.
Yeah, dude.
So we were looking at Google Maps trying to take side roads. And you know you're from the desert. We looked at the side road. It was called Tamarack Avenue. And I'm like, cool. And I was like, that's fucking dirt. And Joe goes, I'm more comfortable on this. And I'm on a fucking chopper. And I'm like, okay, great. We ended up in an aqueduct, which was kind of cool because I got to like carve up and down the side, which I always wanted to do. But like it took us forever to get there. And once we finally got there, man, I just said, screw it. And psychedelics were a full-blown thing. And I was like, I'm just going to do a little bit of acid. I ended up doing a lot of acid. Like to the point where like we were dropping it off the bayonet of my friend's motor. Like my buddy has a bayonet you can pull out of his sissy bar, and we were like licking it off the tip of the bayonet. And I was like, well, if I drop it in a shot, like it'll be like microdosing. But then I just took the whole shot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what the hell's the fucking difference?
That's not different at all.
But we woke up, and I woke up to leave the next day, and I woke up and I was like, oh man, stuff's still moving on me. But it was like time to ride, so we loaded up to ride, and then the worst thing happened. Old timers. I cannot tell you how much I fucking hate old timers. Like every time you fucking pull up on an old Harley or something, some dude has to like come out. He'll just stare at your bike until you walk out and like touch it. And he goes, oh, I remember back in my day, I had a shop. And it's like, dude, no, you didn't. Because he'll be like, yeah, I had a bike just like this. I was like, it's a 96. I was like, what do you mean you had a bike just like this, bro? Like in the 70s, I had a bike just like this. I was like, no, you didn't. You absolutely did not. So I was sitting there and like waiting to load my bike up. And every time I went out there, some new old guy that was staying at the hotel would walk up and stare and had to talk to us for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's fun when you have a head full of acid and you're still trying to come down off of. So there, I can't remember what it's called. There's a Paradise Road. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went to it a couple times when I lived in the desert. Now, tell me how on point I am with this, because when I was walking around the show and I was looking at everybody, how many of these fucking kids that are there are, because I want to say it's probably a good 65% are like, they're basically, what I want to like, I guess fucking posers, because
Chopper fashion show.
Yeah, because that's exactly like when I walked around, it was just like, oh no, you just decided to. It looks like you just rolled around in the dirt. And your hair.
If you ever go to a chopper show and there are a lot or even a good handful of pretty women walking around, you're not at a real chopper show.
Yeah, no, okay, exactly, okay, because
like you like Born Free, love it to death. It's the biggest like chopper show in the U.S. But it's like you go there and it's just like most of these people like drove in. Like if they're like there's cars parked everywhere. Like
yeah. No, yeah, and seriously, it just looked like these kids bought these bikes with their daddy's money.
Well, some of those dudes like actually give a fucking care, and like show bikes and all that stuff. Like some of those dudes really turn the wrenches, and like more power to them. Like I try to build as much as I can, but I'm not a fabricator. Like I send my motors out to be rebuilt. I don't have the time, energy, nor machines to do it. But a lot of that shit is chopper fashion show. We all make the jokes chopper fashion show.
Okay, so that's what it's called.
Yeah, Paradise Roadshow is great show. Like some of the coolest cars come out and motorcycles. But most of the people will just drive out in their like Camry.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, because that's kind of the vibe I got from half the people there.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, I mean, I showed up, but I dressed like me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I like motorcycles. Like some of them, my grandpa rode bikes, and one of the craziest experiences I ever had in my life was with a motorcycle gang, and which we have time. I can tell you that story real quick. So when I was 15, it was probably one of the most vulgar displays of power I've ever seen. It was insane.
Great album, by the way.
It was fucking solid. That's why I just used the reference. But so we were having a party in the desert in Bermuda Dunes, which is like right off the 10. And we always partied at this one kid's house. And there was like a bunch of 15-year-old kids. There was probably like 30 of us there. And one of the girls there, her dad was a sergeant at arms for the Hells Angels. And at the time, there was a chapter in the desert. I think they're San Bernardino now, but like
yeah, they got pushed out.
Yeah. So she was there. She was drunk, and we were all hanging out. And at one point, a cop car pulls up, and there's like probably like 10 of us out front. And these two cops get out, and they're just being fucking dicks. I mean, we're 15-year-old kids, and they're get down on the fucking ground and like hands on their guns and shit. And it's just like, we're not going to do anything.
You mean their second dicks?
Yeah, exactly. So the hands on their guns and just being total dicks. And in the distance, you just hear fucking the loudest roar of a couple bikes. And then they pull up, and it's three dudes, and they jump off their bikes and instantly draw their guns on the cops. Just like without a fucking hesitation. And I'm sitting there, I'm just watching this. And there's like a young cop there, and he's like, put down your gun. And then the other cop walks up, and he like squints, and he looks, trying to look through the headlights, and he says the guy's name, which I'm not going to repeat. And he says the guy's name. He's all, is that you? And he goes, yeah. He's like, and you have your hand on your gun, and my daughter's in that crowd. And I just watched that cop look at the other cop and just give him a nod, and they got in their car and they fucking left.
Yep.
And from that moment on, I was like, holy
My
shit.
scariest MC moment ever was at Born Free 5 or something. And they always have the pre-party at Cook's Corner, like the night before. And Cook's Corner now is like family friendly. It was a biker bar in the 70s and 80s, but it's now like you go on the weekends, there's more dudes wearing spandex and eating spaghetti than there is like anything else. But when Born Free happens, it's kind of turns back into a biker bar for a night.
Okay.
And I'm fucking hammered. I am partying, like fucking multiple substances, having a good time. And I had 2 full beers, and I was super stoked, and I got him. I turned around too quick to go walk out the door, and I ran into some dude and spilled both beers all over him. And I look up, and it said Vagos, Sergeant in Arms. If you know anything about MCs, the Sergeant in Arms usually has to stay sober during events because he calls the shots, and all the soldiers have to do whatever he says. I did this. I went, I'm so sorry. And before I could even finish that sentence, there was like 3 foot soldiers. Like, is there a problem? And I started apologizing, like, can I buy you a beer? And he goes, I'm not drinking. Fuck. Can I buy you dinner? He goes, no, it's all good. And he's like, I kept apologizing. He goes, hey, I said it's all good. And he goes, have a good night. And I walk away. My friend's like, what happened? I tell him, I was like, yeah, but he said it's all good. I was like, it's not fucking all good. I was like, we got to leave right fucking now. And I was like way too fucked up to ride, but it was like, we have to leave now. And my friend's like, well, I can't ride. I was like, I don't care if you can't ride. Like, you can stay. You didn't spill a beer.
Yeah, he's like, no, but I'm going to bounce because
fuck out of there.
He's going to stew on this. And if something triggers something bad in his head.
All it took was 1 foot soldier to try to make a name for himself. It's always the young new guys that like saw that happen and think, I'm going to go knock this guy out just to make, the Sergeant Arms happy. So I booked it. And that was probably the scariest MC moment. Because normally they're honestly really nice and respectful as long as you treat them with respect.
Met a lot of them.
Yeah, they're very nice people, honestly. You just be nice to them. It's the young ones trying to make a name for them because they just got in. Those are the guys that fucking pop off.
Yeah, Palm Springs has a lot of Vagos come through. It has there's a yearly retreat for the Mongols there.
Yeah.
So I've encountered a lot of dudes.
The Mongols used to have their party at Tony's. They were like involved with Tony's for the longest time. When the 1933 group bought them, they'd have a sit down with the Mongols and be like, hey, you guys can't hang out here anymore. And I don't know how that went down, but you don't see them anymore because you used to see them at Tony's all the time.
Yeah.
And once a year, they would shut Tony's down for the Mongols party.
No, yeah, dude. So I mean, like straight up, though, like they brought a lot of business into the desert. And if you were cool with them, they were cool with you. So it didn't fucking matter. But yeah, like
They keep to themselves. They really do.
100%, dude. I absolutely agree with that. Okay. Least favorite drug and worst experience on said drug.
Oh, methamphetamine, for sure. I am not an uppers dude. Like Adderall, all that stuff, I hate it. First time I wanted to try it. I was like 16. I was like, we had a friend who did speed, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. I did it once, and I didn't sleep for 2 days. I was like, this drug sucks. Because if anyone knows me, you know how much I love sleeping. I like staying up late, but I love sleeping. And if I don't get sleep, I am an absolute garbage person.
Oh no, but absolutely. But also, it's one of those things where, say, you've done blow before, and then there's meth around. You don't realize that. Oh hey, I'm just gonna do a bump like it's this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But this one bump is going to keep me up for a day and a half, and you're not ready for that. Mentally, you're not thinking that that is something that a longtime tweaker loves, because then they can fucking take apart their VCR 6 times.
Yeah.
But like when it's your first time,
the first 15 minutes, it's not up. Like you just feel great for 15 minutes, and then it's 2 days of feeling like garbage.
Yeah.
But so my worst experience was not that time. I did it 2 times after that, not by choice. You know, I used to go to a lot of punk rock shows, and I went to see my buddy's punk rock band. They're called Bronco Tatanka. Shout out to Mike. And we were in his car, and he goes, "You want a line?" He told me it was a blow, and I did it, and it burned. And I was like, he's like, "Ha, it's meth." I was like, "Bro, that's not funny." And I ended up driving home, and I had a little bit.
Pranked ya.
Yeah, dude. That would have been. What was that dude's name?
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher, man. That would have
You've
been
been pumped.
You got methed. But I drove home that night. I had a couple drinks, and I was driving home, and I was like 19. I'm like super pissed off, and I have to go home. I'm not tired. So I went to fucking 7-Eleven and bought dirty mags. And I was like going to go home. So I was like, I know I'm going to be up forever.
I'm just going to beat off for 2 days.
And I got pulled over and ended up getting a DWI. And like the guy was like, "What else are you on?" And I played it off, and I didn't, like, he just caught me because I blew like a .05, but I wasn't 21. So I ended up like basically getting that expunged from my record later. But that was the worst. I had another time when someone gave me ketamine and thought it was cocaine, and I was super drunk, and I did a bump to try to wake up. And yeah, that was actually scary. And I fucking was at work and like spinning, and I like just walked out of my bar without saying a word, and like almost lost my job.
Fuck, dude.
It was all because my friend switched bags on him.
Yeah, that's fucking rookie mistake for the dealer. But yeah, it was like you just mentioned, like being pulled over. It just brought up this really okay. I honestly probably one of like the fattest moments I've ever had. I was driving home from work, and I like back. This was my first job was at a Red Robin, and I worked there for like fucking 6 years. It's terrible. But we'd have like, and we'd close down the bar. We'd have a couple beers, whatever, and drive home. And I was like 19, and I stop at Jack in the Box to get some food. Starving, and I'm driving home, and I got just fucking chicken tenders, and I have like I have like the buffalo sauce in this hand and the chicken tender in this hand, and I'm and with like my wrists on the wheels, and I'm like dipping.
Nice.
And so, but when I did this, I swerved, and there was a cop. So he pulls me over. And when he pulls me over, I'm still sitting there like this, and he just looks in, and like luckily, there was no sobriety test or anything. He just looks at my hand, and he automatically puts together what happens. He goes, "Are you fucking serious?"
Yeah, dude, chicky tendies, dude.
I was like, yeah, dude, I'm fucking.
Dude, I Postmated Jack in the Box late night menu, and totally like so drunk, woke up the next day, and I was just like rolling around in like jalapeno cheeseburger fries or some shit. And I didn't remember, and I was just like, man, I really need to
if there ever was a menu that was created for the stoners with midnight munchies, and it was like, okay, so let's put fucking fries on a burger that has hash browns on it with gravy. Yeah, all right, dude. All right, worst night out drinking.
That I remember?
Yeah. Or
man.
that somebody told you.
Worst night out drinking. Man, there's been a lot of them. Lately, it's been like, because COVID, I've just been drinking at home. So it's like...
So it's just depressing.
But I don't like really get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basically, every night I worked at Good Times was probably the worst night ever, because that place just sucked the soul out of you.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, because the owners would keep you there till 4 a.m. and just sitting there, like, and you're doing drugs just because you have to. But yeah, I don't think there's any one moment.
One that pops out.
I just think either it was working at Overpass, because I worked at Overpass when it was in Silver Lake. That or working at Good Times was probably the darkest moments.
Yeah, no, I understand why. I know the group.
Yeah.
All right, worst sexual experience.
Oh man. I mean, I lost my virginity late. I didn't lose it till I was like 18. And the girl I lost it to was far more experienced than I was. And I just like had this idea in my head from watching porn that like you do these things. Like, you know, because I was like never had sex. And I didn't have sex because my buddy knocked up a chick when he was 14. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that
terrified.
sucks. I was terrified. So I went in there with all these expectations and I started going and she was just like, what are you doing? And I was like, isn't this how you want it? Like how I was talking to her, and it really freaked her out. And probably it's been uphill from there.
You want this dick?
Yeah.
You want this dick? All right. We have a few minutes left, so we're just gonna jump into the Are You Worst?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna ask you a few questions, and then at the end of it, we'll tally up the answers and decide if you're a piece of shit or not.
Okay.
Have you ever stolen from your parents?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Me too.
Stole my dad's car.
I stole my dad's painkillers. Have you ever cheated on someone?
Yeah.
See, I've never actually cheated on somebody, but I've been the person that cheated with. I
See, I didn't cheat on people for a long time, and I got really fucked by like my first few relationships, and it kind of just set me up for negative. But I've gotten better. I can't blame other people. I can only blame myself. So.
No, absolutely. I fucked this guy's wife while he was out serving the military.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. He was in the trenches, and I was in her trenches. All right.
Which was deeper?
I think it was hers. Have you ever been a bully?
Actually, no. I kind of take pride in, like, I'm usually the dude that'll stand up for other people. Like, I hate bullies. I was bullied, like, growing up. I was a smaller kid. So, yeah, actually, I don't really bully people. And I actually am pretty proud of that, and I try to stand up for other people.
1 point of decency for you. Good job. Have you ever been a bad friend?
No. Even my friends that, like, fucked my ex-girlfriends and shit, like, I still was nice to them. So actually, yeah, I'm not really a shitty friend. Like, I guess that goes to the same thing with like standing up for like kids that get bullied. So,
dude, you're 2-2 right now. This is pretty solid. When making fun of somebody, do you do it to their face or behind their back?
Oh, both.
Okay, good. Because I asked this question last week too, and she was very honest. She was like, "Oh yeah, we do it to the face." But then as we started talking, we got to the answer of, "Oh yeah, I actually do it behind their back too." But 100%, I will make fun of you to your face, but also I will talk so much shit behind your back. But I will always come back around and tell it
but
to
if
you.
Anybody else does, I'll be like, "Hey, you don't fucking know them."
It's like, "Hey man, that's my fucking friend." But I do it. I have a bad habit of like it's my quality time with my daughter is when we're driving around the city and we just see people walking down the street. I try to get her to roast them.
Nice.
Which is sometimes can be really terrible. But she's such a sweeter person than I am. It's always just like, "Hey, your hair's funny," and I was like, "Good one, dude." I would have pointed out so much other shit, but we're working on it. All right, Ryan, if you want to tell people your Instagram handle or anything like that, where to find you, or, tell them to buy whatever you're selling, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, badgirlryry, BADGURLRYRY. Madre Mezcal, great juice, support it. We support the people, the families. We're independent, small producers. We got some Espadine coming out and RTD in the next few months, so look out for that. Shout out to my girlfriend. Shout out to my buddies in Palm Springs. And just don't do too much acid, man. Just keep it a couple hits here and there.
Yeah, and can I just also say before I say my stuff that you always get girls that are way out of your league. Chad Austin on Instagram and Twitter. Those are the only two I really like to use. You can find this podcast. Well, you're watching it right now, but you could tell your friends to find this podcast in the link in bio of both. You could also buy my book that I wrote during quarantine. And that's about it. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Ryan. And we're out.
Bud.